Welcome, folks. Mr. Neese here. Just going to go over the last assignment in our watercolor module. It ties into St. Patrick's Day, which is coming up soon. And let's take a look. I'm going to screen share so you can see what I'm talking about. Share. All right, so here we are, Visual Arts Foundations. I'm going to click on it. When my super slow Wi-Fi catches up, I'm going to go down the left side and look for modules. Bam, modules. So you guys, hopefully, scroll to the bottom. Watercolor 3.3 through 3.12. You've already done the watercolor intro 3.3, which is the apple, hopefully. And then the last couple of days, been working on your watercolor choice, which is the one with the solo cup, the bowling pin, and the banana. And of course, you had the choice to set up your own still life, but I'm guessing it would be more complicated if you did that. So let's move on to watercolor Kells 3.9, 3.12. And here's the assignment. We're going to be using lyrics, geometric shapes, imagination, and watercolor. And like I said, it relates to St. Patrick's Day. Here's the link to the assignment. I'm going to click on it. And just like usual, I do the assignments that you do, so I know what kind of problems you'll run into. Move this out of the way a little bit. And put it in presentation mode. You can do it, computer. There we go. So here's my example. And you may notice from your past knowledge of color theory that I use secondary colors, orange, purple, aka violet, and green. And that's what I used for my color scheme. So you need to pick a color scheme as well, and I'll get into that in a second. And you may notice some of these geometric patterns are Celtic knots, which ties into St. Patrick's Day. So since there's so much information on the slideshow, I figured I'd do this video to make it a little easier on you, clarify some things. So you're going to either choose an emotion and write the definition, or a line from a poem. Now I consider lyrics from a song, whether it's rap, metal, electric, whatever you listen to, doesn't matter to me. You can use a quote from that, the lyrics, but I need to know which artist it is. So whether it's Biggie, Tupac, whatever, put that name in there. Then you're going to do a thumbnail sketch. This is where you plan out what your images might look like. So you may ask, what the heck is a thumbnail sketch, Mr. Neese? I got you. Click on that link. And here's a good example of one right here. Bam. So thumbnail sketch is super small, just like your thumbnails. Not much detail, done very quickly. It's just you planning stuff out. Am I going to do the paper sideways? Am I going to do it vertically? Is my main object going to be on the right, on the left? Where will my words be? That's why you're doing this. All right, so you're going to include that in your slideshow. Your little sketch of what you're planning on doing and the words that you're illuminating or illustrating. If it helps, think of this as a page from a children's book where there's some words and you're illustrating it. Let's go back to the slideshow. You're going to sketch your words and illuminations on the big 12 by 18-inch paper that I gave people in class. And for those that were virtual, I sent out an announcement that you could pick some up. So hopefully you pick some up. If not, Walmart, Michael's, stuff like that has watercolor paper. Why watercolor paper? Because regular paper will get all super wavy because it's not thick enough to hold the paint. Now, once you've sketched it all out, you got your words on your big sheet, you're ready to go. Then you're going to choose your color scheme. So primary, red, yellow, blue would be that one. If that's what you want. Secondary, what I used, which was the violet, aka purple, and green and orange. Now you can add a little bit of color to those colors if you need some variation, up to you. Now another one you could do would be complementary, but that would put you down to 2 colors. So you did the whole thing in just red and green, or the whole thing in just purple and gold, or the whole thing in just orange and blue. Or you could do analogous, which would be 3 colors. An example would be yellow, yellow, orange, and orange. So 3 colors that are very similar. So that's what you can do for that. Now, something to keep in mind, you're going to be turning your organic forms like people, animals, plants, but you're going to be drawing them with geometric shapes. So for those of you who are excellent at drawing, you have no problem with this. For those of you who are not excellent at drawing yet, this is your time to shine, because just like stick figures, you're going to be using circles, triangles, rectangles, very simple shapes. So this is just the basic stuff on what do I do, how do I do it. You can look at that in the slideshow whenever you want. It's just protocol on how to use watercolors. This is back in the day, pre-pandemic, when we had 30 people in a room and we needed to figure out how to wash our brushes. So if you're at home and you don't put it back in your case, make sure wherever you put it to dry up, that the brush part is upwards. That way it won't be messed up. Because if you put the brush down in a cup or something and leave it there, it's going to look like it had a bad hair day. The brush is just going to be everywhere. You don't want that. Also, pre-pandemic times, people used to use paper towels and leave them in the sink. Not cool. So put up a meme to put them in the trash can. So vocabulary, what kind of words are we using? How does it relate to our stuff? The gospel, well, the book of Kells, which is the inspiration for this, is an old ancient Irish Bible. Now there's more than one religion and more than one gospel. We'll get into that in a second. Illuminated, not just flashlights and light bulbs and camera phones and all that. To intellectually or spiritually enlighten somebody, or brighten with light. It's a little bit of both on this, because the book of Kells, they have these big colorful drawings, sometimes including actual gold. So when light hit it, it looked literally illuminated. And you're illustrating the ideas from the stories, just like we're doing for ours. Scriptorium, that's where they wrote the stuff, and that's where they did most of the work. Usually did not use candles. Why? Because there's only one copy of the book, and if it catches fire, somebody's kind of mad. Repeat. So you're going to have repeating patterns over and over and over throughout your picture. That creates visual interest. Geometric, simple stuff, right? Straight lines, circles, rectangles. You're going to take that organic stuff, plants, animals, people, whatever, and represent them with geometric shapes. So, examples of emotions you could choose: joy, trust, fear, surprise, sadness, disgust, anger. Make sure you look up a definition, include that in your picture. And you're going to illustrate it. What do you think of when you think of fear? You're going to put geometric shapes that are supposed to be things that represent fear. Or you can choose a line from a poem or a song, but make sure that you have who wrote it. Here's an example. This is mine. You'll see these geometric shapes or Celtic knots going all the way around. And just to show you this real world as well, I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but tattoo on my arm, let's see if you can see it better that way, is Celtic knotwork. It kind of looks like a chain from a distance. And the words are in Gaelic, an old ancient Irish language. And you also notice that some of the people in the video look a little bit like Mr. Neese. Red hair, blue eyes, kind of common back in the day in Ireland. A little bit of Irish heritage ties in. So I chose this one about Pangerbon, which in Gaelic means white cat. And then I illustrated. So I've got my words, I've got my framed pattern, and geometric shaped organic things, because a cat's an organic object, but got half circles, triangles, stuff like that to illustrate it. Same thing with the owl, same thing with the trees. Everything's broken down into geometric shapes. There's my color scheme: orange, purple, green, secondary. I know 2 is secondary, but it takes 2 of the primary colors to get each of those 3 colors. I always like to get things to look at when I'm doing mine. So I looked up, this is from The Secret of Kells, which is an animated movie, which we'll get into in a sec. So I looked up images, so I had something to look at. There's the owl I stole from mine. Lots of geometric shapes. Even the people are made up of geometric shapes. There's my owl. Now, this is from the actual Book of Kells. So you can see that the animals are not realistic. They are geometric shapes, lots of patterns. Let's watch a little quick video. And this is from The Secret of Kells. And check out all the geometric shapes you'll see. I'm going to supersize it. Hopefully the volume won't jump too bad for you. Come on, Wi-Fi, you can do it. Maybe a second. There we go. Not that way. All right, so we saw lots of geometric shapes that were depicting organic stuff. Now, if you want to know lots of cool things about the Book of Kells, you can click on that link. I'm going to leave that up to you. Know that it's in Dublin, Ireland now. It was mostly created in Scotland, in Iona, and then was transferred up to the county of Kells in Ireland. And it's now in Trinity University in Dublin. There's people waiting in line to see it. About 500,000 people usually try to go see it a year. It's a small book, right? It's 4 volumes. They turn over a new page like once a month because it's from like 8th century. So it's been around for a while. On that. And just to show you that Gospels are not just Christian or whatever religion you're into, there's tons of them. And oh my goodness, all of them have symbols. And what are symbols? That's art, right? So something you might not think is related, Christian and Islamic have a lot of similarities in both the words in their books and also the art that's related to it. So strict, as far as I know, Islam art not supposed to be depicting living things, so there's a lot of geometric shapes. And in the old Irish stuff in the Book of Kells, tons of geometric shapes too. They just illustrate living things using those shapes. Here's some Islamic art, some Irish art. Starting to see some repeating patterns, some geometric shapes. Another video, you're welcome to watch that one. Manuscript, that's just written words. And you're going to write your words, either your emotion definition or your quote from a song with the artist name. You're going to illuminate it. Basically means to illustrate it, just like a kid's book. Use repeating patterns. It's also from the actual book of Kells right there. And turns out they focused more on the art than the words. Sometimes they'd be missing whole words in sentences. And that's because it was ceremonial and not everybody knew how to read. So if you showed somebody some fancy golden pictures back in the day, that was more important. There's a page from the book, actual gold in there, lots of color, lots of organic shapes repeating, tons of time spent on that. There's the scriptorium, don't use candles, don't want to burn it up. There's Kells County in Ireland, that's where it ended up before moving to Dublin. Here's Scotland, and Iona is the island that it came from originally. There's the Abbey at Iona. It was attacked by Vikings back in the day, so that's why it was transported, they believe, up to Ireland. And you can see back in the day, most of Northern Ireland was controlled by England, and these guys, Ireland and Northern Ireland, were constantly fighting. Words like terrorism, car bombings, stuff like that, that we may associate with other areas of the world, it's happening right there back in the day. They're a little bit more easygoing now, and there's a little bit more autonomy in Northern Ireland now. Not as many fences and bombs. So back to the Book of Kells. Intricate, geometric, colorful. Use repeating patterns in your work, just like I did, just like they did. Now here's something interesting / funny. Another word for white folks is Caucasian, and there's actually a region, I'm probably butchering the pronunciation, but Caucasus Mountains, or Caucasian Mountains, near Russia, but also near the Middle East. Mountains are right through here, all right? Very close to the Middle East, also very close to Russia, right off the Black Sea. There's the mountain range. A lot of conflict through these areas for long times. More Kells right here. More Book of Kells, all those geometric shapes. Not realistic. People do not look like that in real life. If they do, they've got some issues. More videos, you can click on the links if you want. There's an organic animal portrayed using geometric shapes and repeating patterns. That's what you want to do. There's some Islamic art using geometric shapes, some Irish art, more of the Irish Catholic action there, geometric, organic at the same time. Yep, definitely not realistic. More videos if you want. Close-ups of the work, the not work, repeating patterns, organic shapes that are turned into geometric shapes, like triangles. An Islamic temple, notice the repeating patterns, use of color, very similar to the Book of Kells. Oh, look. More Irish, repeating patterns, geometric, very similar. Same thing here. If you're super curious about this stuff, tons of documentary action you're welcome to check on. That's up to you. There's the title and what I use for my words. Have any questions, hit me up. Shoot me an email, whatever you need. Hopefully you have your watercolor and your watercolor paper because you're going to need it. Holler. Have a great day.